Every 30 years, America undergoes the same wealth concentration cycle. New technology emerges. Wealth transfers upward, then the cycle resets. The mathematics are precise. Generation 1 created millionaires when average annual income was $400. Generation 2 created billionaires when average income was $1,200. Generation 3 created 100 billionaires when average income was $30,000. Generation 4 is creating trillionaires when average income is $60,000. The wealth gap isn't just growing, it's accelerating exponentially. In 1870, the richest man had 1,000 times average wealth. In 1920, 10,000 times. In 1990, 100,000 times. Today, Elon Musk has wealth equivalent to 2.5 million average Americans combined. 4 generations. 4 technological waves. For wealth transfers from many to few. Each generation accumulates more power than the previous one. Generation. Atteint c'est le générateur d'9 secondes financial Monopoly Morgan, Dupont. Generation 3. 1990s tech monopolies, Gates. Bezos. Generation 4. 20s total control, Musk. Crypto billionaires, but Generation 4 is different. This isn't another cycle, it's the completion of a 150-year project to concentrate total control over human society through technologies previous generations couldn't imagine. Musk controls space access through SpaceX, 80% of global launches. Global communications through Starlink, 5,000 satellites covering Earth. Electric transportation through Tesla, 70% of premium EV market, and potentially human consciousness through Neuralink. His wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in control over civilization's future. We're witnessing the cycle's end because there's nothing left to concentrate. After you own space, control neural interfaces, and dominate planetary communication, what's left? Generation 4 represents the mathematical limit of wealth concentration, 100% control over technological civilization itself. The pattern, how the 4-generation cycle works, each generation follows an identical playbook across 30-year cycles. The technology changes, the names change, but the process remains constant. Phase 1. Innovation years 1 to 5, new technology emerges that most people dismiss. Phase 2. Monopolization years 6 to 15, entrepreneurs aggressively build monopolistic control. Phase 3. Government capture years 16 to 25, wealthy tycoons purchase political influence and regulatory protection. Phase 4. Wealth transfer years 26 to 30, monopolies extract maximum value while preventing competition. Phase 5. Reset year 30, new technology disrupts established order, creating opportunities for the nation. But generation for the Breton. There is no reset because they control ultimate technologies, space, AI, neural interfaces. After you control human minds and planetary resources, there's nowhere left to go. Generation 1, industrial monopolies 1870 to 1900. The first generation emerged from Civil War chaos, exploiting new technologies, steel, oil, electricity, railroads to create unprecedented wealth concentration. Andrew Carnegie steel monopoly. Carnegie controlled 75% of American steel production by 1900 through vertical integration. He owned mines, transportation, factories, and distribution. The breakthrough was selling below cost to bankrupt competitors, then buying their assets for pennies. John D. Rockefeller, oil monopoly, Standard Oil, controlled 90% of American oil refining by 1879. Rockefeller negotiated secret railroad deals, receiving rebates on his shipments and competitor shipments. Every gallon competitors sold made Rockefeller richer. The government capture both funded universities and purchased senators who protected their interests. They proved sufficient wealth could purchase complete immunity from democratic accountability. Generation 2, financial monopolies 1920 to 1950. The second generation learned from the first. Instead of building industrial monopolies requiring massive capital, They built financial monopolies controlling capital itself. J.P. Morgan, banking empire. Morgan controlled money rather than specific industries. He organized mergers creating General Electric, AT&T, and U.S. Steel. By 1912, Morgan controlled corporations with $22.5 billion in resources 3 times the value of all property in the 13 original states. The DuPont dynasty, chemical and military, DuPont perfected generational wealth transfer through technological monopolization. Starting with gunpowder, they expanded into chemicals and used WWI to build permanent military-industrial control. The Federal Reserve capture, Generation 2's masterpiece, was capturing the monetary system. Morgan's associates designed the Federal Reserve in 1913, ensuring private banks controlled money creation while taxpayers bore risks. Generation 3 tech monopolies 1990 to 2020. The third generation learned that information technology could create more powerful monopolies than physical infrastructure or financial control. Bill Gates, software monopoly. Gates understood that controlling software standards was more valuable than selling computers. Microsoft collected licensing fees from 95% of computers worldwide, regardless of manufacturer. Network effects made competition impossible. Jeff Bezos, commerce monopoly. Amazon used software to eliminate retail constraints, creating a platform selling everything to everyone. Bezos lost money for a decade using investor capital to subsidize prices and bankrupt competitors who couldn't match venture funding. The Internet capture, Generation 3 achieved unprecedented control. They determined what people saw, heard, and thought through algorithmic curation of all information flows. Generation 4, total control 2020 present. The fourth generation represents the completion of the wealth concentration cycle because they control technologies that govern human existence itself, space, transportation, energy, communication, and neural interfaces. Elon Musk, planetary control. Musk's empire extends beyond traditional business into control over human civilization's basic infrastructure. Tesla controls electric transportation with 70% of the premium EV market and the supercharger network that determines where electric vehicles can travel. Starlink controls satellite communication with 5,000 satellites, providing global internet coverage that governments cannot shut down. SpaceX controls space access with 80% of global launches and exclusive capability for human spaceflight to the International Space Station. Unlike previous generations that built wealth through monopolization, Musk is building something unprecedented: direct control over human capability and planetary resources. His companies don't just sell products, they determine humanity's relationship with technology and space. Starlink represents the first private communication system that transcends national sovereignty. When Russia invaded Ukraine, Musk personally decided whether Ukraine retained internet access. When Taiwan faces Chinese pressure, Musk's decision could determine the island's connectivity to the global internet. No government official, no democratic vote, no international law, just Musk's personal judgment. SpaceX's rocket monopoly controls access to space for both commercial and military purposes. NASA depends on SpaceX for astronaut transportation. The U.S. military depends on SpaceX for satellite launches. International space agencies cannot reach orbit without Musk's approval. He has achieved private control over humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Tesla's electric vehicle platform will become the foundation for autonomous transportation systems. When self-driving cars replace human drivers, Musk will control mobility for hundreds of millions through software updates. Unlike traditional automakers selling products, Tesla sells ongoing service subscriptions that can be modified or terminated remotely. Neuralink represents the ultimate convergence of human and artificial intelligence. if successful, must roll this between human consciousness and digital systems. This isn't business monopolization, this is species-level control over human cognitive enhancement. The crypto generation, monetary control parallel to Musk's technological control. Crypto billionaires are building alternative, monetary systems that could replace government currencies entirely. Unlike previous generations that worked within existing monetary systems, Generation 4 is creating competing systems that operate beyond government control. Changpeng Zhao built Binance into the world's largest crypto exchange, processing $22 billion in daily trading volume, more than most national stock exchanges. Crypto exchanges operate across borders while avoiding traditional financial regulations, creating parallel banking systems that governments cannot easily shut down. The Winklevoss twins accumulated billions in Bitcoin while building cryptocurrency infrastructure through Gemini Exchange and other ventures. They proved that early cryptocurrency adoption could generate wealth comparable to traditional tech monopolies while creating financial systems independent of government control. Brian Armstrong built Coinbase into America's largest crypto platform with over 100 million users. Coinbase processes more transactions than many traditional banks while storing cryptocurrency assets worth over $100 billion. This represents private control over monetary systems at scales previously reserved for central banks. The AI revolution, cognitive control generation. 4's ultimate tool is artificial intelligence that can replace human cognitive labor entirely. Sam Altman's OpenAI, Google's DeepMind, and Meta's AI research are building systems that could automate intellectual work at unprecedented scale. AI represents the final frontier of wealth concentration because it can replace human intelligence itself. Previous generations automated physical labor through machines. Generation 4 is automating mental labor through artificial intelligence. After AI can perform most cognitive tasks, human economic value approaches zero. The wealth concentration implications are staggering. If AI can replace human workers across all industries simultaneously, economic value flows entirely to AI owners rather than human laborers. Generation 4 could achieve wealth concentration ratios that make previous generations' fortunes appear modest by comparison. Génération for générer. Previous cycles ended when new technologies disrupted existing monopolies. Steam engines destroyed guild systems. Electricity disrupted steam power. Computers disrupted industrial manufacturing. The internet disrupted traditional media and retail. Génération for controls that disrupted them the space technology, neural interfaces, and alternative monetary systems. There is no external disruption possible when you control the infrastructure of disruption itself. Space monopolization. Musk's SpaceX controls 80% of global space launches and operates the world's largest satellite constellation. Competitors cannot match SpaceX's reusable rocket technology without decades of development and billions in investment. Space represents infinite resources and ultimate strategic advantage beyond any government's jurisdiction. Unlike terrestrial monopolies that governments could break through antitrust action, space monopolies operate beyond national sovereignty. Asteroid mining could provide platinum worth $1 quintillion more wealth than exists on Earth. Solar power satellites could provide unlimited clean energy. Orbital manufacturing could produce materials impossible to create under Earth's gravity. Neural interface control, brain-computer interfaces represent control over human consciousness itself. Previous generations controlled external resources, materials, energy, information. Generation 4 positions to control internal human experience through direct neural manipulation. Neuralink and competing neural interfaces could enhance human intelligence, cure neurological diseases, and enable direct mental communication. They could also monitor thoughts, control behavior, and modify personality. Whoever develops this technology first gains permanent advantages over unenhanced humans. Et convergence, the combination of AI, robotics, and automation technologies controlled by generation could eliminate human economic necessity entirely. If machines perform all physical and intellectual labor, human economic value disappears. This creates unprecedented wealth concentration because economic output would flow entirely to machine owners rather than human workers. Unlike previous technological disruptions that created new categories of human work, AI automation could eliminate human work entirely across all industries simultaneously. The mathematical conclusion: the four-generation wealth cycle follows mathematical principles of compound returns and exponential growth. Each generation starts with more accumulated wealth, enabling larger investments and faster monopolization. Generation 1 built fortunes worth hundreds of millions when global GDP was $1 trillion. Generation 2 built fortunes worth billions when global GDP was $3 trillion. Generation 3 built fortunes worth hundreds of billions when global GDP was $30 trillion. Generation 4 is building fortunes worth trillions when global GDP is $100 trillion. The ratio of individual wealth to total global wealth keeps increasing. Musk's $250 billion represents 0.5% of global GDP concentration previous generation. If current trends continue, generation for billionaires could own 10 to 20% of all global wealth within a decade. But the real mathematics involve control rather than ownership. Musk doesn't need to own every satellite. Controlling the launch capability gives him leverage over all satellites. He doesn't need to own every electric vehicle. Controlling the charging network and autonomous driving software gives him control over mobility itself. The mathematical limit is approached when wealth concentration enables control over technological systems that govern human existence. Previous generations reached this limit within specific industries. Generation 4 is reaching it across civilization itself. The cycle ends because there is nothing left to concentrate except direct control over human consciousness and planetary resources. Space provides infinite material wealth. AI provides infinite intellectual capability. Neural interfaces provide direct human control. Cryptocurrency provides monetary independence from governments. Unless external disruption occurs, social revolution, technological accident, or natural disaster, generation 4 represents the permanent consolidation of human wealth and power into the hands of individuals who control the technologies that govern human existence itself. The wealth cycle is complete. The mathematical progression from millions to billions to hundreds of billions to trillions has reached its logical conclusion. Total control over technological civilization. The only question is what the winners do with absolute victory.